Hi, beautiful friends. Laurel here with Illuminating Souls, and I'm here to share with you about my upcoming class, How to Start Your Podcast. It's not just how to start a podcast, it's how to start your podcast. So perhaps you have been contemplating doing a podcast. There are so many different kinds of podcasts out there that whatever you're guided to bring forward, there will be a place for you. When I was first guided to start a podcast several years ago, I knew there were lots of classes out there and I could go onto YouTube and learn how to do one. I didn't want to do that though. I wanted to learn from a friend who already had a podcast. And so I asked my friend Andrea Share if she would develop a class because I loved her podcast. And she did. She created this beautiful 4-week class on how to start a podcast. And what she taught and how she helped us move through everything helped me launch my first podcast, Musings of an Earth Girl. So Andrea doesn't have a current class up for that she is offering. I think perhaps the old class is still available on her site, but I wanted to go ahead and create a class for you because podcasts are a wonderful way to bring our voices into the world, to share our wisdom, to share our hobbies, what we're passionate about. You know, whether it's your favorite television show, if you want to share mystical principles with other people, if you want to teach, if you want to interview others, there's so many different formats for podcasts. So I have a 6-week program I'm putting together to help demystify this for you. So in week 1, we're going to be talking about your inspiration and your voice. How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want to share? What would bring you joy to be in conversation about? And whether or not you want to have a podcast that's just you, or maybe you want to have a partner and you can, riff off of each other. Maybe you have a podcast where you interview other people. There are lots of different formats for podcasts. And so we'll talk about how you're guided to use your voice. And the angels, of course, are going to be here to help you with that part, opening you up to your authentic voice. Week 2, we're going to talk about the technical toolbox. I know this part can be intimidating, but I'm going to do my best to make it easy for you. We're going to be talking about what kind of equipment you might want to have. If you want to go ahead and invest in a microphone, what kind of microphone you might want to buy. I'll be talking about the free editing software that I use to record and edit my podcast. It's called Audacity, and I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to use it. So we'll be talking through the technical pieces of how to record and edit your podcast. In week 3, we're going to be talking about your artwork and your intro. So you're going to need a beautiful piece of clip art that represents your podcast that you can either create yourself if you know how to use Photoshop or Canva or another one of the design programs, or you can outsource to a designer to create for you. You also may want to create an intro that starts off each episode, and we'll also be talking about where you can get royalty-free music to put underneath the bed of your intro. The next week, we're going to be talking about your first episode. Now, if you're not ready to record your first episode in week 4, it's okay. Don't feel the pressure to rush that out of the gate. But in week 4, I'm going to be encouraging you to begin recording something, even if it's just for you, or maybe you let me listen too. But I want you to begin to feel into what it feels like to record your voice, to tell your stories, to interview, to reflect, to teach, whatever modules you're going to be bringing to your podcast. Week 4 is a time for you to find your center and have some experiences in recording. Week 5 is an open week. We will be meeting, but I don't yet have a set curriculum with what we're going to cover in week 5. I really want a chance to see where we are as a group, and then I'll know what to bring to you for week 5. And then week 6, we're going to be talking about launching and hosting your podcast. Hosting is a word that can have multiple meanings. So I'm not talking about hosting as in you as the host of your podcast. I'm talking about where the files for your podcast reside so that all the different services like iTunes and Spotify and Google can access your podcast. So we'll be talking about how to pick a podcast host, how to set up your podcast so that there is a synopsis and it can be found and you have your tags and all of that is in good order so that you can be found by the various podcast services. I should note that what we will not be covering in this class is how to market your podcast. That could be a whole class in and of itself. And those of you who are following me on Sleepy Bedtime Blessings know that right now I'm not doing a whole lot of marketing on my podcast. So I don't know that I'm in a place to teach that component right now, but what I know I can teach you and hold space for you is connecting with your voice and your vision and demystifying some of the more technical components on how to bring your podcast into the world. It would be a blessing to have you join us. It's going to be a 6-week class. We're meeting on Wednesdays. The live classes will start at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you're not able to join us live, you are always welcome to participate via the recordings. I will also occasionally be bringing to you some tutorials in addition to the class because some of the more technical components will be better taught in offline tutorials that I can send to you. Lots of great information, and I'm so excited to share this with you and see what kind of podcast you are guided to bring into the world. Be well. Thank you so much, and I look forward to sharing this with you. Thank you. Bye.